Here's POV. Why is she here again? Look at the dress she's wearing, she made it herself out of curtain fabric, right? Ha ha. What a bitch. I've heard these words countless times in the past 3 years. They always belittle me from every aspect and never give up. But it doesn't matter anymore, today is my day. Today was the succession ceremony of my beloved man, Alejandro. It was also my 18th birthday. He deliberately chose today for his succession ceremony, because he said he wanted to own me completely on the day I came of age. That was my honor, the greatest gift I could receive on this special day. I wore a red sleeveless dress that revealed my right thigh with its long slit. My 2 mountain peaks were pressed together, which made it look bigger as it revealed a deep ravine in between. My curvaceous body could be clearly seen, giving me an uncomfortable feeling. It left me uneasy and restless. But for my beloved man, I tried my best to look presentable and gorgeous in his eyes. But my ignoring allowed them to humiliate me even more. I never thought that Alejandro would put his standard on the same level as this kind of trash. It's like heaven and earth. No matter how I look at it, they just aren't fit at all. A lady in her black dress spoke. I think this bitch only used a cunning trick to get Alejandro. Maybe she is just a gold digger using her face to sip wealth. Her beauty is deceiving, right? Our alpha deserves a better alpha, doesn't it? Another one spoke. It was funny to see her lips curled upward in disgust when it only made her look even uglier. I could see from their eyes how they thought of me as someone lower than them who didn't worth of Alejandro's attention. That alone made me want to pull their eyes and tongue out. Suddenly, the noises echoing in the surroundings vanished. Unsurprisingly, I looked behind me, and Alejandro entering the entrance gate. From the distance, he looked at me like I was the only person out there. I stared at his eyes as I saw him finally walking directly toward me. His smile calmed me down as it removed all the negative thoughts I had in me. Indeed, he is the mate given to me by the moon goddess, a near-perfect man. Honey. Happy birthday. His low manly voice echoed in my earlobe as he stood just a foot away from my body. I felt high volts of current flowing down my body as he touched my soft fair skin. Thanks, I replied, trembling in my voice. He smiled and took my hand. He guided me toward the front seat. Let's go. I can't wait to tell everyone that you are my mate. Alejandro whispered in my ear with his sweet voice. That made my face blush a bit. Me too. I replied with a shy smile. I fell completely into his tenderness. Really? I can't wait for your performance tonight. His words made my face instantly flush, and I was looking forward to mating with him too. Not long after, the ceremony started. My mate was on the stage with all eyes on him taking the oath, and I was sincerely proud of him. I, Alejandro Lionheart, swearing to our goddess that I will affirm and contribute myself for the sake of my pack, Alejandro shouted with all his heart and soul. Everyone listened to the oath of my beloved man. I was happy seeing him inheriting the pack. Suddenly, he looked at me with an affectionate smile. I felt my cheeks burning when his eyes met mine. His little action made the guests around me, or even further away, murmur about our bond. Someone even questioned our love while staring at me like I was garbage inside the bin. But that didn't matter now. All I could see and hear right now was my one and only man, the lover of my life. Just like that, I ignored the people around me as I heard Alejandro speak again, and today, I want to introduce to all of you, my beloved woman, my mate. I was shaking in excitement. I knew my name would now be called in front of all the people out there. But as if every story needed conflict in order to rise, something I never imagined happened right before my eyes. Just like that, my happiness ended in the blink of an eye. The words of Alejandro were cut off, a moaning sound dominated the music. I threw my gaze at the screen in front of where the source of that sound was coming from. Harder. Harder. Fuck me. Alejandro. Only to have my eyes widen in disbelief and shock, seeing a video flashed on the screen. My mate was having sex with another woman. Here's POV. Harder. Harder. Fuck me. Alejandro. My mate, Alejandro, who was fully naked on the bed. Underneath him was a familiar face. No, in fact, she was so familiar that I knew her full well. After all, she was my best friend, Claire. Or at least, that was what I thought about her. Alejandro. It's great. I'm coming. Ah. Ah. Claire moaned loudly as she wrapped her arms around Alejandro's body, seemingly weakened by her deed. Ah. You're mine. Alejandro snarled. Mine, it's a word only used between meat. But he said it to another woman in bed. I felt my heart being hammered into pieces. Even my wolf growled in pain. Ooh, ooh, ooh. My wolf appeared on her own for the first time without a summons, and she kept whimpering. My wolf appeared on her own for the first time without a summons, and she kept whimpering. But there was nothing I could do. I felt myself lost in the void. My hands then began to sweat, shaking uncontrollably with the passing seconds. I clenched my hands tightly to stop them from shaking. My tears suddenly streamed down. How poor. Some sent me pitiful gazes. But most of them gave me gazes of contempt, covering their mouths as they laughed secretly. Poor what? It's all her own stupidity. Ha ha. Different voices entered my ears. The previous murmurs became louder and louder until I could not bear to hear them anymore. How dare they? I'll kill them. Harsha, my wolf, wanted to roar inside me and destroy everything in her path. But I put her at bay and chose to calm down despite watching the betrayal of the two people I trusted the most. Harsha. Calm down. Trust me, I can handle it. I don't want to perform out of control crazy women in public. Meanwhile, Alejandro hurried his way to cut the video off. He hurried through the crowd toward me, just as he had just rushed to save me. But now, that was all irony, and I, just became a joker. Here, let me explain. His voice buzzed inside my mind. He kept his eyes on me but I couldn't stand it anymore. I could not speak. Yeah. I shouldn't have sentenced him to death without a trial, I should have listened to his explanation. Okay, go ahead and explain. I'll listen, everyone will listen. It's not what you see, here. Everything is. He simply could not find an excuse, just stammered and kept stammering. Hey, how ridiculous, the man I love is such a cowardly person. He is not worthy of my love. Sense. Just as I was about to interrupt him, a female voice shouted out even louder than I did, and the entire venue could hear it. Hirre, you need to stop pushing him. If you want to vent, come at me. I love him. I love him more than you do. Claire stood up and defiantly yelled at me as if I was the one who wasn't supposed to be here. Ha, what deep love. As if they were the mate appointed by the goddess and it was my presence that disrupted it all and I was the one who was superfluous. Yeah, don't force Alpha Alejandro, isn't it good to let the ceremony continue first? The crowd also began to accuse me. What a wild girl who doesn't know how to be polite. How much more humiliating have I heard in the past 3 years? Now I can't help but think, why do I have to suffer all this? Why do I have to hide my identity and put up with these people's unjustified accusations? Shut up! A male voice shouted out at the same time as I did, Alejandro. What is he doing? Protecting me? Showing how much he loves me here at this time? But he brought all this shame on me, didn't he? This time I was no longer moved by this cheap defense. I stared at him as coldly as I could, feeling that my heart was about to explode at any given time. Sigh. Harsha, I've decided that I'm going to reject him here, I informed my wolf calmly, and for the first time, I didn't intend to discuss it with her and took the decision without permission. Of course. I've disconnected from Agaru. We reject them now. Apparently, she made the same decision as I did. Instead of talking anything, I stood and walked toward the stage. Harder. Harder. Alejandro. I went to play the sex video again, surprising the entire crowd the next instant. Is she out of her mind? I think she is. She actually turned on the sex video of her partner with another woman again. With the sound of sex on, I saw Alejandro's and Claire's miserable pale faces. Yes, this is what I want. You see, I don't even need to say anything. They will be ashamed of it themselves, and they know it's wrong, and it's them who should be ashamed, never me. Her. I don't know what else he was going to say, but that doesn't even matter. Ah. You're mine. With Alejandro's possessive growl in the video, I finally mustered up the courage to make the vow of rejection. I, Hirre Monreal, future Alpha of Tyranny Pack, reject you, Alejandro Lionheart, as my mate. No. Hirre, how dare you? Alejandro ran at me in a rage, and he tried to strangle me. But soon, someone appeared to stop him. It was Tyranny's beta. Get away from her. Everyone in the room was shocked by his appearance, and of course by who I was. Is that the beta of Tyranny Pack? How did he come here? One man said. That's not the point. Didn't you hear what that woman said that? The other man heard the point. She said that she is the future heir to the Tyranny Pack. And her last name. While everyone was wondering why Beta James was here, he came to me after dropping Alejandro. He bowed 90 degrees to me. Miss, Alpha asked me to come and take you home. The private jet is ready. Me. Miss. The crowd became boisterous again, and of course, I didn't miss Alejandro's face, which was equally surprised by my status. For a good while, they couldn't find a word to say and only remained silent because until now, none of them knew about my real identity. They really didn't expect me suddenly having a great background. I just called her poor and nasty. I hope she didn't hear me. Keep your voice down. Their surprise and concern were within my expectation. I, Hirre Monreal, was the only daughter of the former Alpha and Luna of Tyranny Pack, the real heir and the future Alpha of the pack. Unfortunately, my parents died a long time ago after the battle against Rouges. I was supposed to manage our pack, but since I was too young at that time, it was my uncle Lucio, brother of my father, who managed our pack in my stead. If it's true, why is she here? I heard a whisper of confusion. I think I was out of my mind. When I met Alejandro from afar at the evening meal that my pack held, I fell hopelessly in love with him. In order to follow him and even fall out with my family, I have not contacted them for the past 3 years. But now, I'm going to end this mistake myself. I didn't want to waste my time any longer in that humiliating place. Alpha Alejandro, please, accept my rejection. I kept my last courtesy, now I was representing Tyranny Pack. Hirre, you. Alejandro reacted and tried to pull me back, but James didn't wait for me to make a move and tossed him aside like garbage. Accept my rejection. I aggravated my tone because if he doesn't accept, the rejection will be meaningless, and that's the most unfair part of the werewolf world. No one can unilaterally reject an alpha. No. Never. Here's POV. In the car. I didn't let Alejandro take my rejection until the end. Damn it. Harsha was angry too. Forget it, at least we got out safely. I comforted Harsha, but I was also worried. If Alejandro kept not accepting my rejection like this, it would mean that we would only be tied together forever, and I would lose my freedom forever. There must be another way. Here, Harsha said, sensing my concern. Yes, there must be a way. Miss, we're here. The driver's voice brought me back to reality. But I was amazed the fact that this airplane looked like it wasn't just a simple one but a private one. A smile subconsciously formed on my lips as I saw the luxurious plane with my naked eyes. My uncle actually got such a luxurious private jet in order to make me look respectable. But what I didn't expect was for Uncle Lucio to come and pick me up himself. I was surprised when I saw who was together with him. How did you come to? They were my cousins, Nix, Matt, and Sandra. A warm smile appeared on my lips, happy seeing them again after a long years. I really didn't expect that they, too, would come to pick me up. Have you forgotten how to hug after not seeing each other for too long? Hi guys. I was very happy as they greeted me with their embrace as I replied them with a hello. I almost couldn't hold back my tears as I felt how they put too much care on me even though I chose another man instead of them. Okay, you guys, let her go, she's about to lose her breath. A man's stern voice reached my ears. Dad, come and hug here too. Aren't you wishing for her to come home every day? Sandra said as she turned toward the man. That man was my uncle whom I hadn't seen for a long time. He was my father to me, but countless times he contradicted him and hurt him. Uncle. Sorry. I turned around and apologized with my head bowed as I couldn't meet him in the eye. I let the call of my heart win, that's why I've become reckless. I'm really But before I could finish my sentence, Nix tapped my shoulder and smiled at me. You don't have to say sorry. You've just tried to love, he uttered, which made the other three nod their head. I swallowed my saliva as I felt my throat getting dry. Uncle tapped my hand and spoke again with a gentle voice, we will always be here for you. No matter how stubborn you are. I felt my cold heart was now melting with their warmth as they gave me a group hug. Thank you. I muttered as I closed my eyes and opened my heart to feel their love. I'm really going to start my new life, the life that was meant to be mine. A little while later, the plane arrived at its destination. But not the Tyranny Pack. Is here? I couldn't help but wonder inwardly. Two airplanes were landing on both sides of the massive land area surrounded by grass plains. Not far away on the tarmac there were all kinds of planes parked, but only the common airline planes were absent. Apparently, it was all private. This guy has a loot of money. I didn't hold back from speaking out. These. I turned my head ready to ask Nyx where this was, but none of them were looking at me, either reading or using the computer, as if they were the busiest people in the world. I had to talk to my wolf, trying to use my werewolf's keen senses. Harsha. Did you sense something here? Is there a strange smell? Actually, I cannot sense anything that can bother me. It's all about the smell of money here, which is really quite strange. She is so humorous. Fine. I was just curious how Uncle Lucio can afford this kind of luxurious plane. And why are we here, by the way? Maybe your uncle have a business meeting or a little trip in here. Maybe. Stop thinking, just enjoy it all. She's still so open-minded. I shrugged my shoulder and didn't agree with my wolf. I stood and followed them off the plane. In fact, I know my pack better than my wolf. Yes, I knew that the Tyranny Pack was powerful, but we do not promote luxury, and I was raised to be frugal, and such a scene today is a rarity. My curiosity overwhelmed me all the more. I went beside Sandra and whispered in her ears, "Sandra, how did Uncle Lucio change his spending habits? When did he get so rich?" "Kiki. This," she replied, which made me feel curious even more. Sandra. Just as she was about to tell me something, Nyx called out to her, as if to stop her from telling me something. But that made me even more curious. I looked at Nyx with a puzzled face, hoping he would give me an answer. But he said, "You guys go ahead and get changed, you'll know everything when you come out later," and walked off in the other way. Here, I sense a luxurious things inside. Harsha spoke within me. I looked around as I walked toward a black oak door and observed the things around me as I followed Sandra's direction. We went to the dressing room, which had a massive walked-in closet with lots of evening dresses were hung all over the place. There was also quite a few dresses with high-class design made by some popular dress designers. "Is this all ours?" Harsha spoke again as she saw how stunning was the dresses. "Ladies, please choose your evening dresses. Sir has instructed that you don't need to rush. Everyone will wait for you. No one will rush the ladies to become pretty." A woman in a professional suit with meticulously organized hair said to us respectfully with a smile. "Sir? Who's the sir? My uncle? Or cousin? When did they get rich enough to buy such high-end services?" It was all bothering me. I wanted to ask Sandra, but when I saw her changing and fixing herself, and I also had to go aside and start choosing my dress. After fixing ourselves, Sandra and I went out of the dress room. We saw Uncle Lucio and his two sons, Nyx and Matt, wearing their formal tuxedos. From the hair to the leather shoes, they all looked neat and new. They looked like a person of a high status in their appearance. My gut tells me it's all very expensive. "Here, are you sure we are not wealthy? Why do Uncle and our cousins wearing this kind of clothes?" Harsha muttered. "Yeah, I had to ask. Uncle. You know. Our pack is not rich and we need more assets to earn money. You need to be thrifty sometimes. We are not a billionaire." I spoke with a little bit of frown I purposely revealed on my face. "You will be soon. However, Instead of uncle, a voice of a man coming from the door suddenly sounded. I stopped talking and looked behind me. Uncle Lucio did not move and let the man show himself. Here's POV. When I turned around, I saw an old man wearing white suit. He had a gray-white hair but did not have any old man's fatigue, but was very hale and hearty. Behind him was a man in late 30s wearing a black suit. I looked at them carefully, recalling if I had ever seen one of them in the past. But even in the edge of my reminiscence, I never recalled any of them. Harsha, we haven't seen them, have we? I tried to get my wolf to help me remember. No, I promise. But the smell of this old gentleman is so familiar. Indeed, the smell of this old gentleman gave me an overwhelming sense of comfort. There was a strange familiarity to it, where I had smelled this smell before. While thinking about the identity of the two, I heard Nix, Matt and Sandra, even Uncle Lucio greeted the old man with respect. Good evening. I felt surprised, but it's not the end of that. I also saw the servants around us bowed their head and greeted, "Good evening, sir." I felt my cheeks burning in shame because I was the only one who did not greeted the old man. That said, I forced out a smile and hesitantly stood firmly and said, "Yes, sir, good evening." But instead of a response, the old man moved forward and held my arms gently. I felt his hand shaking as he looked at my eyes. His hands were cold and I knew he was so excited seeing me. But why? I should have picked you up at the airport, damn Ansel. Ansel? Isn't that the current Alpha King? How could he say that about Alpha King in public? I couldn't help but remind him that. "Sir, you shouldn't talk about Alpha King like that. You'll get yourself into trouble." But the old man didn't seem to care about that, he just laughed. "Ha ha ha. That's funny of you, little girl." The old man couldn't restrain himself from laughter as he heard my whisper, even though it was to faint. It looked like he ignored what I just said a moment ago, which was also my relief. Since he didn't look mad toward my attitude, I thickened my face to ask him something. Sir? Do I know you before?" Alcaran, the old man, smiled briefly toward my question. "Why?" But before he could reply, the man behind him suddenly talked to him with a whisper. "Sir, the time is up. Actually, it is. It's been over 30 minutes. He seemed like reminding the old man that there was a guest waiting for him for several minutes now. Alcaran suddenly smiled at me before he turned around and took a step forward. But he halted after a single step as he spoke again. "Well, here, you come with me. He knows my name." Harsha. But by this time my wolf was completely immersed in the comforting smell of this old gentleman. I was surprised when he suddenly called out my name. But I felt more surprised when he suddenly invited me to come with him. Subconsciously, I looked behind to see and hear the opinions of my family, only to see them smiling at me. Uncle Lucio waved his hand telling that he would follow along us. Aside Uncle Lucio, the servants led my 3 cousins toward the same direction where I was heading. When I saw them behind me, I put away my reluctance and followed the old man to where he wanted to bring us. We entered a massive dim room with plenty of colorful lights flickering the area. The crowd were talking with each other, taking their drinks and wine. I felt the same atmosphere when I was in the succession of Alejandro this morning. I couldn't resist the feeling of nervousness as I headed toward the stage. I was brought in the center of the stage where the spotlight made me the apple of the eyes for everyone in the area. I couldn't help but think of the humiliating scene this morning and kept trying to find my family. My nervousness got the better part of me as my hands kept shaking. But the old man beside me seemed to read my mind and took my hand in his, and miraculously my heart immediately settled and I didn't feel nervous at all. And then the old man who led me suddenly spoke beside me. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to this impromptu party and for being so respectful of me as an old man." Just a casual remark like that made the guests on stage laugh. He went on to say that aside, I will cut the chase and introduce the heroes of tonight's bar mitzvah to all of you. The old man smiled gently at the crowd to see their reactions before he shifted his gaze to me. No other than my only granddaughter, Hirre Monreal. As the old man pronounced my name, I was really taken aback. No, I felt beyond that. Surprise and confusion blended together and took over my heart. He was calling me his granddaughter? I looked around and everyone on the stage was just as shocked as I was. I could tell that none of them expected this sudden news. "So, this is Miss Vermont's daughter, how pretty. Time really flies. Miss Vermont's daughter is now an adult." She looked like Miss Vermont. The guests couldn't stop talking about me, and I couldn't understand a word they were saying. But I knew about Vermont. It was the last name of the richest family in the world. The family's business was so extensive that it covered every lucrative industry in the world: energy, finance, even media and fashion. But does that have anything to do with me? I was in the midst of this thought, but before I could go on further with my thoughts, the old man who introduced himself as my grandpa spoke again, which was much unrealistic than before. "Now, I officially announce that Hirre Monreal will be the sole heir to all the property in my name. Here's POV." As everyone cheered, I kept sorting out the information I had just heard. It finally dawned on me. This old man was actually the father of my mother, my grandfather. I never expected that my mother's last name was Vermont, a family known for being famous and one of the richest families in the world. It's no wonder we find this smell familiar. It turns out to be the smell of Mom. Harsha said sentimentally. "Well, my mother has been passed away for a long time, and I had always thought that she had completely disappeared. But now, I seem to smell my mom's scent again from this old man." Mr. Alcaron Vermont's mate died early of illness and he only had one child, my mom, who broke off her relationship with him for the sake of her love. After the departure of his daughter, many believed that Mr. Alcaron Vermont would marry again and birth a new heir. There were also women who longed for that person to be themselves. After all, it was the Vermont family. But since then, Mr. Alcaron has been living alone, without even a scandal, devoting all his time to his work. And gradually from a billionaire to the world's richest man. And just now, I, Hirre Monreal, became the sole heir to this huge fortune. Harsha, shouldn't we reject this fortune? It's not. I was planning how to refuse this fortune that shouldn't be mine, but Grandpa wasn't even giving me the time. "Honey, say something," he said, looking at me with such spoil and encouragement in his eyes that I couldn't resist them. "I think my mother is really like her father, and I am like my mother. Grandpa may be missing his only child through me, and I want to find the scent of my mother in him too." I looked at my uncle and cousin who were smiling at me from the stage, and Sandra who was excited from the sidelines. They nodded to me as if to tell me that it was real and not a prank or a dream. "Here, accept it. We shouldn't disappoint and break the hearts of our families who love us. Harsha said. Right, we are a family, blood relatives, and I have no right to deny the love from my family. It was almost the purest love in the world. I took the microphone from my grandfather and held it to my lips. My hands were still shaking as I held it. I looked around wearing a smile as I spoke on the crowd. Thank you everyone for this night that I have every one of you for my bar mitzvah, and thank you for remembering my mother. I will study hard and be a good successor. Clap. Clap. There was a burst of applause from the stage, and some others were red-eyed. My grandfather, who was on the sidelines, put his hand on my shoulder and looked at me with relief. Good luck, Miss Monreal. We are always here to support you, Miss Hirre. We are happy to meeting you, Ms. Monreal. I couldn't believe that tonight, I was here gathering the love and support of this people, cheering me with their bounty applause and not a humiliation. The party went into free time and everyone came around and was curious about me. Grandpa tried to fend it off for me, but I refused. I enjoyed interacting with everyone and it was my place to do so. Miss Monreal, why did you show yourself just now? I had been in my father's pack before and rarely came back. Miss Monreal, have you met your mate already? This question stung me. I don't know how to answer it. Mom. This is privacy. How can you ask? It was just as well that the lady's daughter defended me. It's okay, I said, looking thankfully at the young girl. But it reminded me that Alejandro hadn't accepted my refusal. Damn it. How dare they come? Suddenly, Harsha shouted in my head. When I saw Alejandro show up with his family, I understood Harsha's anger. But I was still curious as to why they were here. It is not hard to understand, the Vermont family has not held a party for a long time, and to get into such a party is undoubtedly what everyone is most eager for. It would be a chance to find the best mates for their children, even if it was just to meet some wealthy businessman. It would be a chance to change their fortunes. I didn't really want to see that family right now, nor did I want to argue with someone at the bar mitzvah my grandfather had prepared for me. But Alejandro's sister saw me. I told you, brother, Hirre is a gold digger, that's why she was so eager to reject you at the ceremony. Hirre Lionheart looked at me mockingly. I was furious at their shamelessness. She seemed to have forgotten that it was her brother who had betrayed me. Alejandro saw me too, and his eyes once again turned to shock, and soon, to pain, as he pulled me aside. Why are you here, Hirre? Did you know that I was looking for you? He grabbed me and asked, staring at me directly. I could hear the surprise he felt from the tone of his voice. Mr. Alejandro, what do you want from me? I asked coldly. And then he replied, daring to even hold my hand, Here, Claire and I don't have any relationship. It was an accident. That bitch set me up. Please believe in me. Hey, that's the excuse he's been thinking about all day. But I don't care anymore. If you want me to believe that, then accept my rejection. Now. Everyone looked at us as I spoke, noticeably surprised about the matter. They understood something from our conversation and supported me in droves. You jerk. Keep away from Miss Monreal. It's true. She rejected you, so you must stay away from her. Are you out of your mind? Get out of here. Some even wanted to rush up and expel him. They scolded Alejandro and he felt the same feeling of unpleasantness that I felt before. But instead of walking out, he held my arms and spoke. No. I will never accept that because I'm telling the truth, we don't have any relationship. I didn't betray you. I am the best choice for you, he insisted, but with his words, I knew he was unreasonable for not accepting my rejection. How dare he? Harsha growls and wants to rush out and rip him apart, and so do I, but not now. I can't ruin this beautiful party because of this asshole. And seeing as he wasn't about to take our rejection, I wasn't going to waste any more time. I wanted to walk out to get away from him. But he tried to hold me tightly and tried to mess me up. No. Here. Please, he continued, which made me feel more annoyed. Let me go, Alejandro. We are done with each other. I retorted coldly as I tried my best to give him the fiercest of my glare. I wanted to get out from the crowd so no one would see this embarrassing scene in my mitzvah. But every time I tried to make a steps away, Alejandro held me tighter. No. You will never get away from me. Alejandro. I'm warning you, stop this. But instead, he grabbed my arms with his strength that caused some red marks on my skin. It hurts. I growled, almost tearing up. I know here. But I don't want to lose you. Alejandro growled back, his tone stubborn. His hand clenched around my arm and it was getting stronger. As much as I wanted to free myself from him, I was helpless to say anything. Between us, he was much stronger than I was, so I did not have the strength to retaliate. Let me go. I said, no. Here, no. Because of that, I wanted to scream and intended to use my wolf to free myself. But before could I open my mouth again, a low manly voice suddenly sounded from gate. She said, let her go, are you deaf? Here's POV. Everyone looked at the door where the source of that new voice came from. I took advantage of Alejandro's daze to shake off his grip and immediately, I put a distance away from him. Wait here. I smelled something good. When I wondered who this voice was, Harsha, my wolf, suddenly roared from the inside. I couldn't help but frown and growled back in response, enough that Harsha, Alejandro is no longer our mate. It's not Alejandro, I'm pretty sure it's not. It's different from the smell of meatloaf when we met Alejandro, it's clearly a more aromatic red wine mint. Harsha insisted, making me to think about the matter more carefully. What? My second chance? When I tried to confirm, there was a commotion at the door again. A man in black suit came walking in, his aura unfathomable. With just a glance, I could tell that he was a man of high status, probably alpha males. Everyone's eyes couldn't help but fall on the young man. I could tell that he also had a muscular body. His tan skin made him look sexy. His hair was neatly cut as it was raven black like his eyebrows. His jaw was perfectly graven with his pointed nose and his rosy lips attracted everyone to stare on them. Harsha, does he smell familiar to you? I couldn't help but ask my wolf inwardly out of curiosity. No. But he smells so intoxicating. I feels like I'm floating in the cloud as I smell him. Do you know him? Harsha replied, her tone flirty. And I couldn't help but roll my eyes to the side, thinking how flirtatious she was. I tried my best to ignore her behavior as I replied, actually, no. But the way he dressed looks expensive. Look at his shoes. And that watch. Damn, he must be big shot somewhere. Maybe he is one of the special guests of Grandpa? I looked at them carefully while guessing his possible identity. Suddenly, everyone greeted him with their heads bent down. Long live to Alpha Prince Severus. Long live. I was stunned when I suddenly heard his identity. Without hesitation, I stood straight and bowed my head to greet him with respect. "Would you like my help, miss?" he said in a cold voice, polite but with a tone that sounded cold. "Oh my God. He is so cool. I want to get out to make love with him. He is perfect to be my bedmate. What do you think, here? Look. He is so sexy. So hot. Hey. Enough that, Harsha. Don't think about that," to the prince. I tried to stop Harsha from fantasizing about unrealistic things. I was about to speak my apology, but before I could open my mouth, Alejandro from the side spoke first. "Sorry for the interruption, but she is my mate. We just had some misunderstanding earlier this day." Severus stared at him nonchalantly, but after a moment, he averted his gaze away from him and threw it back to me. It was as if he only believed in me. "Let him help us. He cares so much about us." Harsha simply couldn't stop making a fancy face at the prince. But was that really okay? I was just about to speak when another voice interrupted me. "Damn it. Is this family even trying to steal my right to speak?" Wait. Yuri suddenly came rushing with her steps as she approached us. It was obvious with her wide movements that she squeezed out a smile that she thought was sweet and looked at the prince. "Your Royal Highness. My brother and this girl are mates. They just have a little misunderstanding. This is my brother and sister-in-law. If there is anything you want to know, you can ask me," Yuri added right away as she stared at Severus with hypocritical smile. Severus just ignored Yuri, without turning his eyes away, said in an undeniable tone. "I think I made it very clear that I was asking this lady." I saw Yuri's face immediately turn pale. "Oh my God, here. He keeps looking on us. I can't wait to speak with his wolf." My wolf was ecstatic seeing the tantalizing eyes of the prince, but differently, it made me feel embarrassed and blush on it. I'm all right, thank you for relieving me," I responded awkwardly, sorry to show the prince my bad self. I couldn't ruin the bar mitzvah that my grandfather had prepared especially for me. But Yuri didn't want to let go of the opportunity to discredit me. She thought I was stealing her thunder and she tried to rush up and scratch my face. But my grandfather's beta quickly appeared to put a stop to it. "Leave. We have done a survey of all the guests and we found out that you Lionheart family did not receive any invitation, so please go out and don't disturb our party." As Beta spoke, I noticed that the Lionheart family's faces immediately turned faint. "Sorry for offending the Crown Prince. We just don't want to miss blessing Mr. Vermont," Alpha Gregor suddenly spoke as he tried to explain. But the Beta did not mind it and just ignore him. He didn't even bat an eyelid and spare him a glance. "Sorry, but Mr. Vermont's order is to send you out." Beta, without looking at Alpha Gregor, replied as he lifted his arms to show the widely opened door in gesture of sending off. "But here is my son's mate and they needed to talk something," Alpha Gregor added, but before he could continue with his words. "No, I have nothing to talk to him about. We are done with it." I denied his excuse without hesitation. "I don't even want to see this family anymore. Move them away." Severus called his soldiers to carry the Lionheart family out of the party. Alejandro's family couldn't defy what the prince's command as such, as reluctant as they were, they could only grind their teeth and leave with darkened expressions. Alejandro followed his family out from the event, but before he left, he couldn't help but give me one last glance. I turned to look away as I ignored him and wished him to not bother me anymore. Here, we need to get him to accept rejection quickly so we can have a chance to be with the prince. Harsha's words were immodest, but they made sense. I couldn't be stuck as Alejandro's mate for the rest of my life, and both Harsha and I needed a new start. They were just kicked out shortly after. Mr. Alcaran and Uncle Lucio walked from the door with an older man in his late 50s. He was tall and muscular, revealing his jawline and a shaved beard as he walked. His eyes was hazel brown, matching perfectly with his shaggy dark eyebrows. Looking at his dress, he should be Alpha King. Long live to the Alpha King Ansel. Sure enough, the crowd confirmed what I thought. Grandpa and Alpha King were standing together, but like friends, they seemed to have known each other for a long time. I was still in shock that all the guests today were so distinguished when Grandpa led them towards us. "Here, come here." My thought was interrupted as I heard my grandfather calling me. "Are you okay? Did they hurt you?" Grandpa concerned me first. Until I shook my head, he was relieved to introduce me to King Ansel. "Please allow me to introduce my granddaughter, Hirre, the star of today's party." Alpha King looked at me and laughed. "She is beautiful, like her mother," he added suddenly. I bowed my head sheepishly. He looked at Severus on the side and snickered. "Severus, I was wondering, you are always calm, why would you suddenly leave us alone to enter?" "So it was to rescue the beauty." These words made my face immediately red. I felt a strong line of sight that came from Alpha Prince Severus, and I did my best to ignore him, pretending as if nothing was going on. "My honor to meet you, Alpha King," I replied, wearing a sweet smile. "Anyway, he is Severus Abram, my only son." The king called Severus, who moved closer to me. "Nice to meet you, Hirre." He outstretched his hand to me as he spoke. I was hesitant to hold it but still did it out of respect. But I could not deny the fact that he was more handsome and sexy now that he was right there in front of me. It almost made my wolf lose herself because of the romantic emotion she felt towards Severus at that moment. "And nice to meet you too, Prince Severus," I responded. My hands were cold as we, too, did a handshake. But my cold hands had become warm shortly after his hand touched mine. That created a big spark seemingly running in my veins like thousands of volts. Severus POV. When I saw Hirre, I totally understand the men who are crazy for women. I could not deny how my eyes had been attracted by her beauty. Her skin was white as snow and it was in contrast to my tan color. Her breast was healthy, same as her long-legged body. Her perfect body shape could easily catch every eye who would look at it. And it was difficult to believe that she was just only 18 years old. Everything she had, I longed for it. As such, when my hand touched hers, I felt like everything was just like a dream. Her soft and candle-like fingers made me feel a spark within me, quickly scattering throughout my body. On top of that, her smell was so intoxicating, like a new bloom of rose flowers, that I found myself having difficulty of refraining from excitement. Her touch, her scent, her beauty. I didn't want to admit it, but I think I fell from her. Though I just hid that feeling from her. Meanwhile, my wolf Demos cooing inside as he sensed the wolf of Hirre. "Arg. What do you mean, Demos? Is she my mate?" I asked my wolf. I hoped to get an affirmative answer from him. Arg, but even after I asked him, he just did the same and didn't answer me. I sighed as I ignored my wolf, keeping my gaze on Hirre's undying beauty. But I needed to act like a real prince in her sight. I needed to stay calm and composed. "Severus, let her hand go." It wasn't until my father called out to me through MindLink I realized I hadn't let go of her hand the whole time I was holding her hand. Her face flushed slightly and she smiled politely at me. "So, I'm sorry." To distract myself from falling too deep on her lovely face, I averted my gaze away from her and faced the two men beside her instead. "I'm Severus Sabrum of the Crimson Blood Pack, the son of King Anselabrum. Nice to meet you." I greeted her Gamma Marcus and Beta Damus. We shook hands and they were happy to see me. "Nice to meet you too." I smiled at them and everyone in the event, but my smile gradually faded when I saw her shaking hands with everyone as well. I turned around to hide the anger that suddenly wrapped me. Every time I saw another man holding Hirre's hand, I could not deny that they were getting on my nerve. Damn. Why the hell is it like this? Could she be my mate? Demos. She's my mate, huh? Answer me. This time I won't allow my wolf to be silent anymore. No, I can't be sure. I think I hear her wolf calling, but I can't reach her. Demos answered me equally loudly, and it was clear that we were both remorseful about the result. It's almost certainly makes her not my mate. It's impossible to have wolves that can't contact each other between mate. She really doesn't belong with us. So if she is not our mate, stop trying to contact her wolf, it's rude. I muttered, slightly hurt by my own thoughts. No. How can they touch her hand? Stop. Suddenly, my wolf got cranky and kept shouting in my head. Demos. That's enough. I had to stop his impulse to try to rush out. We were in absolutely no position to keep anyone else from shaking hands with her. I want her wolf. She wants me too. Demos proclaimed. It's a betrayal of the goddess to claim mate at will. And it's quite rude. I growled at him so he could stop what he felt from here. Demos, you need to think about it first. I will give you some time. I locked him for a while so he would never growl again and continue to insist himself on something he wasn't sure of. After all, if this continues, I am also afraid that I will do something to betray the moon goddess. Here's POV. It was already midnight and everything was back to normal. The guests went home when the party was over. At that moment, King Ansel, Severus, my uncle, as well as Mr. Vermont, my grandfather, were all inside the conference room. But why could I feel strange every time Severus looked at me? I could see gentleness and affection in his eyes, telling vaguely that I was someone important to him. Alejandro and I were broken though. I thought that it was not the right time to find someone who could love us the same way we did. Suddenly, my thought was interrupted by the announcement of Mr. Vermont, which echoed in the room. Since we are all here, Hillary, I want you to go to school with the king and the prince in their pack. Will you do it? Mr. Vermont gently asked me. I was taken aback by the sudden words I heard from my grandfather. I really didn't have any idea why he suddenly intended me to send to the king. Say yes, Harsha shouted impatiently before I could respond. I know what you're thinking. She just wants to use this opportunity to get closer to Prince Severus. No way. But before I could ask anything in response, King Ansel stood to propose his reason. Anyway, I'm here because I plan to collaborate with Mr. Vermont for building a great werewolf academy. It can teach and train multiracial wolves who are willing to learn and empower themselves." As he said those words, he walked around us and stopped behind me. "Especially, for you, here. You can learn how to become alpha of a pack, how to manage your assets as the richest person. There is no one better to take these courses than you." Yeah, I almost forgot. I'm now the richest man and a heiress of a powerful pack, and I have more responsibilities on my shoulders. But no, honey. As a grandfather, I want you to learn how to protect yourself first. As for that knowledge, you're smart and I'm sure you can grasp it. Is that so? Mr. Vermont suddenly spoke. It turns out that being trusted unconditionally is such a happy feeling. I could not help but imagine the feeling of entering the academy packed with high-rank students coming from different backgrounds. "Hillary, this is a rare opportunity. That can be the school that all people dream of." My uncle also began to persuade me. "Let's go," Harsha suddenly said in my head, and of course I knew what she wanted to do, but it was to use it to get closer to Severus. Thinking about it, I couldn't resist looking up at him, and he was looking at me too. My face instantly flushed. "Here, I'm looking forward to meeting you there. I hope you will be there to learn," Severus whispered beside me. I felt goosebumps as his warm breath touched my skin. "Now, kiss him," Harsha says again. "That's enough." "I'm not kissing him," I yelled. Everyone in the room looked at me in surprise. "Kiss him. Him." The echoes that reverberated through the venue reminded me that I shouted out my mind. Everyone heard it. Damn it. I mean. I was incoherent and tried to explain, but everyone looked at me with a smile. "It's okay, I know." Severus reassured me gently. "He knows what? He knows nothing." Author's POV. Thud. The falling objects could be heard inside Yuri's room. After they went back to their pack, Yuri could not stop doing tantrums as she got mad after being expelled from the event. "That bitch. Arg!" she screamed as she threw everything she could grab. She kept on throwing her things because she missed the event of the Vermont family. Her family also ignored what she was doing, giving her freedom of what she wanted to do. Somewhere outside Yuri's room, there Alejandro and his parents were seated. Everyone was silent until Alejandro's father, Alpha Gregor, called Alejandro. "Alejandro, let's talk." Alpha Gregor stared at Alejandro deep in the eye. With a blank expression, Alejandro silently walked toward his father who were waiting for him in the dining area. In his mind was not what his father was about to talk about with him, but Hirre who insisted of rejecting him. Even when he sat in front of his parents, he thought nothing but Hirre. "Alejandro, you need to fix everything between you and Hirre. You know how much important having a Luna is." His father spoke, which catch Alejandro's attention. "I know it, father," he replied, lowering his voice. As he added, he took a deep breath and spoke, "Don't worry, I will make sure that we will be okay soon." At that moment, Yuri suddenly came rushing out of her room after hearing the words of her brother. She approached them madly as she spoke, "No. From now on, you will never be with that bitch. Can't you see? She is just a whore who goes around seducing men to gain wealth. How can she afford those kinds of expensive dresses? Huh? Didn't you see the slutty way she looked at the prince?" After hearing those humiliating words from his sister, Alejandro could not control his anger. He stood and clenched his hands into fists. His eyes turned red as he furiously slammed the table. Enough, Yuri. I don't want to hear that ill words coming from your mouth if it's all about here. Shut up your itchy mouth or else. Alejandro bellowed furiously as pointed his sharp canine teeth at her. He suddenly became terrifying as he shouted and hit the table again. And it struck everyone shocked. Alejandro did not want to shout at his sister, but for here, he could. But before he could add more words of anger, Yuri ran away back to her room with heavy footsteps, terrified as well as afraid of hearing more. Excuse me. Let me talk to her. Lunalera sighed as she stood and went to follow Yuri to her room and comfort her daughter. For a good while, there was yet again silence. Alejandro used the time to calm himself down. Alejandro, tell me directly about your relationship with Claire. Alpha Gregor broke the silence as he suddenly spoke again. Alejandro was silent again as he found it hard to reply. In the end, he sighed before he replied, Claire and I don't have any special relationship, father. So, what's the video all about? Alejandro, be honest. Alpha Gregor suddenly directs the video. Father, it's Claire who takes advantage of my weakness. I'm drunk that night. She is the one who takes the initiative. Alejandro replied. He couldn't help but clench his teeth in anger as he recalled the video. I don't care. You've already made us all the butt of everyone's mouth. You have to settle this. Alpha Gregor shook his head in disappointment and anger. He couldn't believe that his son, the future alpha of his pack, would fall to such a trick. It's just sex. Not a relationship. Alejandro retorted, insisting that he wasn't on the wrong. Sex or relationship. They are both a grave mistake for here, especially since Claire is her best friend. You know, Alejandro, that it's an adultery to have sex with someone other than your mate. You can have a million women, but you can't be found out. Don't be so stupid. Alpha Gregor argued with a slight frown, which made Alejandro think that his father was right. In the end, Alejandro could only admit it. He lowered his head as he replied, Sorry, father. I'm wrong. I gained a mistake and lost my mate. Don't just say sorry, do it. Make here come back and regain the reputation you lost. Alpha Gregor replied with a deep voice containing high authority of the Alpha. But she cut our connection. Alejandro hopelessly replied. You can go to her pack to see her. The Alpha suggested, which was agreed by Alejandro. After hearing his father's suggestions, he took his phone and tracked the location of Hirre's pack. He stood and fixed himself. He looked at the clock and noticed that it's already midnight. Father, I will go for now. Alejandro spoke after finding the location of his mate. He didn't wait for his father's reply as he left unhurriedly from their house. He drove his car without hesitation even though it was already late at night. While he was driving, he could not deny how much he thought about here. Alejandro, you are the reason why we lost our mate. Do everything you can do to bring her back. I miss Harsha. I miss here. I want to touch my mate. Aguero growled. He was mad at Alejandro after losing their connection with their mate. Alejandro knew how painful it was to lose someone they loved, and he thought of the things that could calm Aguero. I want her back more than you do. I will. I will bring her back. Alejandro replied, and Aguero, who barely calmed down, didn't reply anymore. Here's POV. 3 days later. The atmosphere was clear when I reached the base of Crimson Blood Pack. I felt a little bit nervous and at the same time, excitement. "Please follow me, Miss Hirre." A woman appeared in her neat clothes and greeted me with a smile. I naturally greeted back before I followed her toward a massive building. We entered the elevator and the woman set it on the highest floor. "Come on in, ma'am," the woman leading me uttered as she led me toward a certain door. "King's office," that was what was written on the exquisite wooden plaque placed on the door. That aside, 2 guards in black suits stood on each side of the door. I narrowed my eyes slightly, scanning the things around me. I took a deep breath before entering the massive room to calm my nervousness down, only to have my throat suddenly got dry as I saw Severus sitting inside. "Oh, the prince has come to welcome us, too." Harsha gets so excited just to see him. "Harsha, I'm warning you, no contacting his wolf. And no talking nonsense. At least not now. I still have a nominal mate. And I don't want to be rude again." "Got it. Damn Alejandro. Harsha wasn't wrong with that one." "Welcome to the Crimson Blood Pack here," King Ansel greeted me on my arrival. "Thank you, Your Majesty," I said politely. After I said that I also did not forget to turn my head towards Severus, and salute him. "Your Royal Highness," I nodded. "Welcome." He gave me a slight nod in return, only a short reply. Damn, his voice is so sexy. "Ha, he's been waiting for you here early in the morning." It's the first time I've seen him so nonchalant. The king chuckled, and I couldn't stop blushing at his words. "Father," the prince's cold voice stopped the king's laughter, and I wonder if it's true? Was he looking forward to my arrival? Young people are shy. "Sit down, let's sit and talk." The king offered me a seat with a gesture of his hand. "Thank you," I replied briefly and gave him a smile to hide the feeling of nervousness I currently felt. "Anyway, we already prepared everything you needed while staying here. Is there anything else you need?" King Ansel added with a warm smile. "No, I have it all," I replied. "Oh, right. You are the richest person in the world now and you should have everything. I'm the one who forgot, haha." King Ansel felt relieved by what he heard. I could tell from his eyes the care he put for my well-being. That, of course, was something I was happy with. It feels good to be cared for. "But, King Ansel, if I may, I have a favor to ask." I spoke without beating around the bush, directly in the eye. King Ansel naturally smiled at me as he replied with a warm tone, "Go ahead. Tell me what you want." "Alpha King, please allow me to take the entrance exam." I tried to explain what I wanted to say as I continued. "I want to enter the academy without special treatment." King Ansel was silent for a moment as if trying to read my thoughts before he finally replied. "You know that your grandfather is the biggest patron of this school and no one will feel that you are getting special treatment by enrolling. Without your grandfather, there wouldn't be this school. And you didn't take anyone's spot. I know, but I also know that this institute is the biggest dream of many people. I think will be unfair if I go there without any hardships." I seriously spoke and waited for the words of the king. Ha, Severus, it seems you really know this little girl," the king suddenly said to Severus with a big smile. I looked at Severus, who was sitting across from me, and he looked at me with a smile in his eyes. Perhaps it was because of the puzzlement in my eyes that the king explained to me, "Before you came, Severus told me for sure that you would definitely ask to participate in the exam with everyone. He, probably knows you better than your wolf. How interesting. He actually understands me so well. In this moment, all I could see in my eyes was Severus. He still kept his gentlemanly smile, but I could see the unmistakable intimate fire in his eyes. Here. Harsha tried to speak again. Shut up. Whatever she was going to say, no. It was rude enough last time. The king stood and he took the form inside the wooden cabinet. Here is the form. You can fill it up. Anyway, the entrance exam will start 2 weeks from now. Alpha King gave me the paper as he added, the way you looked just now was so much like your parents. It's so nice that you inherited their integrity and bravery. Thank you, sweetheart. The king's eyes were red as he spoke, and looking into his eyes, I couldn't help but start to miss my parents and get red-eyed. Dad, I don't really want to be here to watch you guys hug and cry. Get down to serious matters. Severus kept his usual calm and dispelled our grief. The king blinked to gather his emotions. The exams are all on the registration form, including the written and fighting tests. And then the Alpha King added as he glanced at Severus. You can ask Severus as your trainer, especially since he is the best coach for that. I know the king's advice is my best option, but right now I need to stay away from the prince because Harsha could not help herself to fall for Severus. I don't want the situation to become awkward. What if the prince has his own mate in the future? I could not speak or even look at the king nor Severus. But in my peripheral vision, I could tell that Severus was looking at me. That made me feel a bit uneasy. I raised my head and looked at him to refuse the offer, but before I could finish my sentence. Ding! My phone suddenly rang, catching the attention of everyone there. Excuse me. I took my phone to see the one who suddenly called me, only to see Alejandro's phone number on my screen. Even though I have deleted his phone number, I can still recite it. I knitted my eyebrows the moment I saw it and, without any hesitation, I pressed the reject button. How persistent. This bastard really didn't know how to give up. Here, is there something wrong? Seeing what I had just done, Severus asked me with the concern he revealed from his eyes. Nothing. A harassing call. I'm not wrong, am I? That man? He is still bugging you? Severus responded. A deep frown appeared on his face. He looked very angry. I replied, lowering my voice. The guy who got kicked out of the party the other day? What was that all about? The king also asked me with concern. It seemed that I had to make this clear. Sorry for worrying the both of you, but he is my ex. His name is Alejandro Lionheart of Moonchaser Pack. I rejected him after knowing that he and my best friend cheated on me. But he never accepted. I replied as I explained. Oh, really sorry to hear that, honey. Is he still chasing you? The king asked. Yes, he keeps looking for me as he did not want to accept my rejection. So he's always bothering me in all ways possible from time to time. I replied. That jerk. I'll kill him. Severus slammed his hand on the table, having a hard time controlling his anger. Calm down, Severus. The king spoke up to dissuade Severus. Severus had to sit down, but it didn't take him long to look at me seriously and say, live with me and I will tutor you. Severus suddenly spoke, which made my heart beat uncontrollably wild. Live with him? How can that be? From the other side, the king suddenly spoke again. Yes. Here, I think Severus's plan is right. You need to live in his house to protect you from that bastard. I didn't think the king would approve of this proposal, but it's too dangerous, isn't it? I mean, for Severus, I don't know what terrible things will happen if I don't control Harsha one day. This time you must listen to me. For the first time, Severus was so sure, so determined. Well, okay then. Thank you. I finally responded after balancing the pros and cons. I knew it was hard to decide, but I needed to do everything to make Alejandro accept my rejection. Here's POV. 3 days after. At the training grounds. Hi-ah, I yelled out as I threw my last punch at the man's chest. He slid backward from the impact, his eyes widened in shock. The dust from the ground arises as he forced to maintain his balance. F to the power of CK. Taste this. Enraged, the man roared his way toward me. I strengthened my senses and my fist for his another attack. I smirked as I reacted quickly against his attack. I moved faster than he could as I ran to clash with him head-on. I dodged his furious punch by hairbreadth as I immediately did a counterattack. Before he could react on time, I already caught him off guard as I threw my knee against his chest with all the strength I put in. Thud. His poor body was centralling on the ground, ready to pass out at any time the moment he stopped rolling. I could see on his face the sufferings he had experienced from our duel. Sorry, but I won. I spoke to console him as I wiped the sweat that flowed from my temple and forehead with the back of my hands. Damn. Next time your luck will never be with you. The man snorted coldly. I knew he was upset at me during our sparring and he could not accept his loss. He was probably pissed by the fact that a woman beat him. I stood firmly as I replied to him, I'll wait for our rematch. Arg. The man annoyed to the point that he didn't want to bother himself from talking to me. He turned around and took his things before he walked away. That man aside, quite a lot of people watching our spar in the training area was looking at me with distasteful looks. None of them probably liked the result of our spar. After all, they all wanted me to be defeated so that the prince, who was training me personally all this while, wouldn't pay me any heed anymore. That was probably the reason why I received a lot of challenge for the past 3 days. Well, it wasn't like it was a bad thing. In fact, it was a good way to have fun while training myself. But how ridiculous it was that aside from girls who got mad at me since I was always with Severus, men were also jealous cause the prince taught me personally. Amazing here. For the past 3 days, you keep on increasing your strength. Gamma Elias suddenly came to greet me with him clapping his hands. I turned to look at him and there he was, smiling at me. Did you know that the one you fought against was one of the best fighter in this training class? I really think that you don't have to join the entrance exam. You are way better than the others. I appreciate your compliment, Gamma Elias. I smiled at him in response before I shook my head slowly and added, I just did my best for the match since my uncle and cousins were hands-on in teaching me. It has been a long year since I stopped doing that when I live in Savage Pack. I drank from the bottle of cold water before I continued. That aside, I still prefer to participate in the entrance exam. I started packing my things as I added, I need to change my clothes first. Please, excuse me. He smiled at me in response as I headed to my locker to get my clothes and get changed. I wore my skinny black jeans and a loose white shirt. I also tied the lace of my white rubber shoes before I took all my belongings to the locker. I smiled as I took my new phone. Severus gave it to me last day so that I wouldn't be harassed again by Alejandro. Here, I still cannot imagine that the Alpha Prince that I'm dreaming of is now caring deeply for us. See, he replaced her phone. As I walked my way, Harsha suddenly spoke. I sighed, hearing her talking again about such matter. Harsha, it's just a phone and maybe he is just thinking ab. I replied, but before I could finish my words. Cring. My phone suddenly rang, interrupting me for good. I immediately took the phone inside my backpack wondering who suddenly called me at that moment. Who's that? Is it Severus who's calling? Harsha suddenly asked with anticipation. I don't know. When I saw on my screen the unknown number, I did not hesitate to answer the phone call, thinking that it was Severus. Hello? Who's this? I asked the moment I answered the phone call. I didn't know why, but my heart suddenly beat wildly in excitement. Perhaps it was because of Harsha thinking so much that it was Severus who was calling. Here. But a familiar infuriating voice greeted me. A deep frown suddenly took over my face as I knew full well that it wasn't Severus who called me this time. It's Alejandro, your mate and your lover for the rest of your life. Please don't ignore me and let me talk with you. My blood suddenly boiled hot, my hands shook in sheer anger, and my dark expression overwhelmed my face. How shameful. This bastard really dared to call himself my mate and my lover? And for the rest of my life at that? Fuck. I couldn't help but utter a cursed word inwardly this time. Here. I know this is your new number, so please don't pretend that you don't know me. He kept running his mouth from the other line. But what could I do? I couldn't utter a word in response to him since my heart was being occupied with seething rage. If this went on, I might crash my new phone without me realizing it. I took a deep breath to calm my heart down as I finally replied, "Don't be trying to contact me. Unless you're ready to accept my rejection." My tone was utterly cold. I made it so that he would realize that he wasn't needed by me anymore. Are you a lich? You're disgusting me. Arg. That jerk, what's in his mind and he still keeps bothering us? Harsha growled in response to him. But I didn't wait for his reply anymore as I quickly hung up the phone call. Instead of thinking of him, I focused my attention on my way to avoid tripping. How did he get your new number? I was surprised when a voice suddenly coming. I turned to look at the source of that voice and there I saw Severus approaching me. Even me has no idea, I said. Go change the number again. Severus spoke calmly as he thought about that matter. Pardon, but please let me deal with him. You've already helped me a lot. I don't want to bother you any more than this. I replied, looking at him dead in the eye. I don't want to change my life because of him anymore. I can't keep changing my number because of him, eh? You're right. Severus replied seriously as he added, don't worry, I'll deal with him. Here's POV. No. No need to. I can handle it myself. I refused the offer of Severus. Well, it was only because I was worried for his future. He hates menacingly as if he would kill Alejandro if he did do so on impulse. This will definitely affect his candidacy for the next Alpha King. TSK. It's not a problem at all, here. He clicked his tongue as he replied, seemingly not bothered with the stuff that I was worried about. I bit my lower lip as I heard his response. Was he trying to act tough and cool now? Tap. 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 I was about to reply again in refusal when some footsteps were suddenly heard coming toward us. We immediately looked in the direction where the footsteps were coming from, only to see Beta Leo and Gamma Elias approaching us from the distance. "Oh? You both are here," Beta Leo greeted us with somewhat surprised reaction. I smiled in response and waited for them to get closer. "We almost waited for the both of you for an hour. We didn't expect that we will find you here like a lovely couple," he added, which made Severus to smile bitterly and scratch the back of his head. "You're good at joking, Beta Leo," Severus immediately added. "Thankfully, he said what I wanted to say." "Ha ha," Beta Leo only laughed dryly in response. "Here, we will go to the human club this night. Do you want to join us?" Gamma Elias happily said as he asked me. His words had immediately piqued my interest. I could not deny that felt a bit excited joining them to go to such a place. "Human club? We will go there." Harsha suddenly spoke to me. I could feel her excitement just as what I was. However, I was going to go to the library. I need to look for some stuff that could unbind the mate or more than that. I was just about to reject the good offer, when suddenly, Harsha whined in my mind. It seemed like she really wanted to see what was in the club. "Please. Here. Let's go there," Harsha begged me. "Okay, fine. I'll let you in just this once," I replied as a long sigh escaped my lips. Since even Harsha begged me, and I also wanted to go there out of curiosity, I decided to accept the offer and joined in the fun too. "I'll join," I replied, sighing as I smiled. However, perhaps it was because of my excitement, but my heart beat unusually fast as I thought about entering the human club. "Me too," Prince Severus suddenly cut in, which made Gamma Elias and Beta Leo wear shock expressions. I could tell from their faces that they didn't expect Severus to suddenly want to come as well. I, too, was surprised by his sudden words. "Prince, are you serious?" Gamma Elias asked with doubtful expression. "But, as far as I know, you don't want to go there for fun. So why do you suddenly want to?" Beta Leo added with the same expression. "Do I still need your approval to go anywhere?" Severus glared at Beta Leo to get his agreement. "No, no, no, of course not." Beta Leo smiled bitterly as he replied and tapped Gamma Elias' shoulder. After a few minutes, I finished fixing myself. I went downstairs and I saw Gamma Elias and Beta Leo talking to themselves. There was also Severus with them. It seemed like they were waiting for me for a little while now. I carefully walked toward them. The scent of my perfume caught their attention. "Wow!" Beta Leo complimented me, but I felt a bit embarrassed about how he did it. He was wearing a simple tan shirt and jeans. He was much handsome at first sight, and I thought many women would look at him in the way how I described his appearance. "You are so gorgeous tonight, here." Gamma Elias stared at me, complimenting my new looks. He was much more handsome than Beta Leo in his looks though. He was wearing an army green shirt and jeans. Aside from being handsome, he was polite and gentle. "Thanks. Same as you both, you two looked more handsome tonight," I complimented them back. But aside from the two men, I couldn't deny that Severus attracted my eyes the most. He was wearing a white round neck shirt and black jeans. Even though I naturally saw him in that outfit, his appearance was still different every single day. Even when I put makeup on my face, the blushing of my cheeks still could be seen. I tried to pretend that I did not care about the prince. However, my face suddenly flashed redder as soon as I heard Severus' voice complimenting me. "Here, you are so beautiful, tonight." I could not look at him directly in the eye to thank him. I just nodded my head and let the time flies. "Let's go." Fortunately, Gamma Elias spoke, which saved my night. After hearing that, we went into the car and headed to the club. Many minutes later, we finally reached our destination. Outside the E-Tran store, the muscular guard secured the area. There were lots of sports cars of different brands scattered around the parking lot, a sign that the club was very popular for rich people. As we entered, the beat of music could be heard accompanied by the laughter of men and women inside. Various color of lights flickering with the rhythm of music engulfed all over the place. It revealed a lot of people dancing with the beat of music. Gamma Elias led us and seemed like he knew the place very well. We followed behind as I curiously scanned the place. "Oh, Elias, you're here again." Suddenly, a hot and sexy blonde woman appeared to block our way as she flirtatiously embraced Gamma Elias. And because Severus and I were in the back, the woman had immediately noticed us. Although she kept on staring at Severus with tempting gazes and only ignored me like I was the wind. But I could tell from her gaze that she knew Severus. "Hi, Prince. I'm Ciara." The woman walked toward Severus and outstretched her hand toward him. She kept her gaze locked on Severus, blinking her long eyelashes like a shitty whore. "Hi, nice to meet you, Ciara." Prince Severus greeted the woman politely and with a faint smile. The woman bit her lips as she shook hands with Severus. And all that scene made my blood boil for no reason. He is so gentle to everyone. We continued walking into the massive room. Many people were inside. Men and women approached us as they recognized the prince. "Nice to meet you, Prince." "Hi." "Hello." Many of them greeted the prince, especially women, and they were all greeted back politely by Severus. However, it didn't change the fact that I was really pissed for who knew what was the reason. Even with how many times I argued to myself that everything was just greetings, and everything was alright, Harsha and I felt like we're exploding from the inside. "Who are they to touch him?" Harsha kept shouting. But I knew that we were in no position to question anyone at all. I was nobody to him. "I'll go to the bar and see what drinks are available, while you guys find seats." Thinking that I would really explode from thinking too much, I excused myself and walked away from them to get some drinks. Getting my wine and turning around, I found them already seated, surrounded by people and even men trying to talk to Severus, who kept his usual polite and gentle smile. "Harsha, you see, we're not special. He treats everyone that way." I was going to use this to wake Harsha up, to make her stop dreaming of love now, and to wake myself up too. Stop fantasizing. But Harsha is an expert at avoidance, and she refused to communicate with me. I just headed to drink alone on the balcony so I would never see women flirting with the prince. I felt the cold breeze embracing my body. And every stroke of the red wine in my throat made me feel better. But someone, stupidly, always comes to interrupt my good time. "Hey beauty, First time here? Do you want a one-night stand? Get out. I answered without hesitation. Ouch, are you shy? I really like innocent virgins. He moved closer to me. I turned to look at him, but seeing disgusting smile, I was about to twist his constant arm. Two sturdy men in suits with sunglasses appeared and subdued the man without saying a word. Ah! Let me go. Who are you? The man shouted with a red face as if he was in pain from being crushed. Everyone in the club looked over, including, of course, the friends with me. I saw Severus quickly running this way, as if he was worried about me. I don't know these two men in suits either. Is the security here so timely? I was just about to take this opportunity to turn around and left, but suddenly, I heard someone else say, "Miss, I'm sorry for being late. Do I need to prepare a VIP room?" This voice. It's him. Here's POV. I immediately turned around the moment I heard the familiar voice coming behind me. But I really was taken by surprise as I saw the man who had just spoken and was now standing in front of me. "Omi. You're here." With my eyes widened seeing that man, I remarked with a pleasant tone. "Why is he here? Is my cousin here too?" I couldn't stop looking around. "What are you looking for?" Missy replied, wearing a wide smile as he stared at me. "No. Nothing. Why are you here?" I shook my head as I asked with a disbelieving smile. However, before I could get an answer, Severus suddenly came rushing toward me and blocked the man who had just arrived. He gently grabbed my hands and looked me in the eyes. His eyes carried worries deep within as he said, "Here, are you okay?" But I just ignored his worries as I sighed and replied to him, "I'm okay." Even after I told him I was fine, he still wouldn't let go of me. This goes beyond the concern of a simple friend. I pushed Severus' hands off of me as I shifted my gaze to the person who had just come before Severus. Severus, on the other hand, was noticeably displeased as I could see his eyebrows knitted in an ugly way. "Ken, long time no see." Again, I asked the man who had just arrived. A warm smile reappeared on my lips as I spoke. "Yes, you've become a beauty after 3 years of absence." Ken chuckled playfully as he spoke with a smile filled with suspicions. Ken was my cousin's friend and we grew up together. We became playmates and we were close with each other in every way. We could say that nothing could be hidden between us. If I hadn't left the pack and started to live in the Moonchaser pack, then I was certain that our relationship would only go deeper. To think that it had been 3 years since then. And now, he was growing taller and more handsome, far from his teenage appearance. "Wasn't I a beauty before?" "Huh?" I replied. And although I was smiling, one of my eyebrows was raised, making it look like I was pissed. "That's enough," Severus shouted in a deep voice, probably thinking that this conversation was too boring. "He's jealous," Harsha muttered in a low voice. "How could that be?" "Ha ha, yeah. Let's deal with this asshole first." Ken couldn't help but laugh dryly as he suddenly began to sweat in response to me. "You two, take him out." After he said those words, he summoned muscular bouncers with a gesture of his hand. 2 bouncers then came. You can't do this. You don't have that right." "I didn't do anything." The asshole was still shouting, unwilling to leave. "Get out." Severus, who had been silent, yelled, really pissed off. "To protect me. You, don't come back here. Also, Never show your ugly face to me, he added coldly. Without further ado, the bouncers moved right away as they grabbed the obnoxious man. After the man was taken out, Ken looked into the room and said, "Keep drinking, and get a free glass of whiskey each." The bar, which had been quiet, got noisy again. Seeing that the problem had been taken care of, Ken uttered as he tapped my shoulder, "Let's talk inside." "Sure," I said excitedly. I was just about to follow him inside, but then, "Here!" Severus suddenly called out with a severe look on his face. After a moment, he shifted his gaze away from me to give Ken a deadly stare. He didn't say anything more, but I knew that he was questioning Ken's identity. Almost instantly after he said those words, I halted my steps and turned to look at Severus. "Pardon, Mr. Prince, but I think we have some kind of misunderstanding here," I spoke to catch the attention of Severus, but it appeared like he wouldn't listen as he was still glaring at Ken. "Oh, Mr. Suarez. Good evening." Elias suddenly spoke as he smiled at Ken. Thankfully, Beta Leo and Elias came to approach us. I could tell that they wanted to appease the anger of their prince to Ken and prevent the tension go any further. That was a huge relief to me. "Hello, Mr. Suarez." Beta Leo also greeted Ken as they smiled at each other again as though they knew each other long ago and they had just met now. "Elias, did you know each other?" I asked in the tone of confusion. I wanted to confirm whether they really knew each other or not. Elias turned to look at me with somewhat jubilant expression as he spoke. "Kiki. If you don't ask, Mr. Ken Suarez is the director of this club." "Yeah, these two gentlemen are regulars here," Ken replied. "Oh, is that so?" I replied with a sweating smile. But since they were men, I could understand why was he always in this kind of place, just as he said. I shifted my gaze at Severus, but then, I could still see the anger flashing in his eyes. And seemed to increase now that the person before him wasn't just an ordinary person. "Anyway, Mr. Suarez, he is Prince Severus, the future Alpha King." Gamma Elias added as he pointed Severus with his hand. That made Ken surprised as he greeted Severus right away. He outstretched his arms towards Severus, gesturing him to do a handshake. However, the prince seemed like possessed by the devil as he did not give his hand to Ken and only stared at him coldly in the eyes. It was the very example that if looks could kill, then Ken would have been killed by now. Beta Leo tapped the shoulder of the prince and he muttered, "Prince, please calm yourself. He is the director of this club and he is a good guy. Also, Hirre knows him well." Still, Severus was looking at Ken with deadly stares. Although right now, he agreed to touch Ken's hand. "Nice to meet you, Prince." Ken politely greeted the prince. The smile on his lips was a kind of somewhat forceful and a bitter one. Not only that, what he received in response was just brief smile that didn't even last a second. The prince immediately retracted his hand as he didn't even get a reply. "Not even if she knows you, where are you taking her?" "She has to be with me," Severus said seriously. Ken could only smile bitterly as he scratched the back of his head. Knowing Ken, I could easily tell that he felt a bit embarrassed about that. So, not trying to change the subject to ease his embarrassment, he added, "Sure, I prepared a VIP room for all of you guys. That way, no one will disturb your good night anymore." "Oh, VIP room?" Gamma Elias happily responded. Other than Severus, all the of us felt the same way as he did. "Okay, Please follow me, Ken added, and he led us where the massive and luxurious room was located. We entered the place and I was amazed by the fact that the room was really a high-end luxury. The luminous lights surrounded the entire room, revealing a golden ceiling and jewels embedded on the wall. I could also see astonishing hyper-realistic portraits painted by famous artists. Turning around, I caught sight of high-class drinks that fabled to have cured any kind of illness displayed in the massive glass door fridge. There was also this kind of drinks that said to have the ability to make anyone who drink it be filled with vigor and turned back to their prime days. Of course, I was only told about it just now by Ken, who tours us around the place. Isn't his room never open to the public? Rumor has it that this is the exclusive lounge of the owner of this bar. Looks like it's because the prince is here, haha. Gamma Elias could not help but gasped out his disbelief. Is that so? So would it be rude for us to go in? I was about to say when Ken gave us a big smile. He said, yeah, this room is reserved for. He took a moment of pause to look at me as he finally continued, for the owner of this bar, Madame Hirre Monreal. Here's POV. What did you say? I'm the owner of this club? I was shocked upon hearing those words from Ken. Yes, Hirre. You are not mistaken. Ken replied, and I suddenly thought about the establishments that my grandfather bought in the human world. He did that so I could use them as my training facilities for performing my operational skill. And I knew that there were a lot of properties listed in my name cause I have a list of them in my computer files. However, because there were so many of them, I did not have any time to read them all. Wow, what a coincidence, I muttered as I gave Ken a look of pleasant surprise. I wish I'm in your position. Gamma Elias spoke with a joking tone as he smiled at me. But although it was just a joke, in my thought, I believe that almost everyone would wish to be a Vermontsier. After all, being a billionaire was something of everyone's dreams. I just happened to achieve it without doing anything great. Cuckoo, me too. But I know we can't be like you even if the world goes upside down. Beta Leo chuckled. I simply smiled at his joke in response. Anyway, can I have a sideline job at one of your properties? Beta Leo added, which made everyone laugh except Severus, who was still glaring at Ken. Harsha, what's wrong with him? I wanted to let my wolf try to feel it. He wants to kill someone. Harsha always surprises me. Ken felt awkward at the sight of Severus. To remove the tension between them, he managed to call the bartender to have some drinks. Cleo. Make us 4 fine men drinks. But please make 1 glass of less alcohol and put in lots of ice. And please add a scoop of honeydew for my baby. That is for Miss Hillary. I was a little bit surprised when I heard Ken. I could not imagine that for almost long years that we were not together, he still remembered what I wanted for drinks. Even our call sign was still in his mind. I can't believe you remembered. This familiarity made me feel so safe that I wanted to be closer to him. I had so much to tell him. But suddenly, Harsha reminded me, I suggest you don't get any closer. I understood what she meant, and I turned my head to see a dark-faced Severus, whose eyes seemed to be spitting fire. Severus POV. Hillary, who gave him permission to call her that? How did he know about her eating habits? The woman actually wanted to get closer to him. Should she simply sit on his lap? Who was this person? Deimos kept ranting in my head. Hell, I wanted to know more. Elias, I'll give you 10 seconds to figure out who this fucking man is. I ordered Elias via Mind Link. Mr. Suarez, can I ask something? Elias asked quickly. What's that? That man asked, wondering. What is your relationship with Miss Monreal? It seems to me that you two are quite close. Elias replied with an uncertain tone and looked carefully at me. It made Ken smile, but suddenly, he answered first. Ken and I were good friends and we grew up together. That's all. After she finished, Elias looked at me as if asking me if his life was saved. How funny. Friends? What kind of friend would be so close? How come I don't have friends like that? No. I don't believe it. Sure enough, Demos was thinking the same thing as me. Ask him why he's here. I played with my fingers as I continued to command Elias through MindLink. I had to get all the information I could about this man. Speaking of which, Ken, why are you here? Elias asked. I applied to my uncle and he approved me to help Hillary run the properties that Mr. Vermont gave to you. And aside from this club, I can help Hillary run some of her properties in the city. The answer he gave made her very excited. So we can be together again? She asked, wide-eyed and surprised. She wants to be with him that much? She was so reluctant when she was asked to live with me. That's right. We can be together in everything, that man responded as he took a glass of drink and gave it to her. Together? I knew it. He is not pure in his purpose. Demos thought the same as I did. That's good. Thank you. Here was about to take that drink and saw that their fingers were about to touch. No way. Clang. I stood up immediately and touched her hand that was ready to receive the wine. The wine spilled all over her clothes. Nice, she can't drink the wine prepared by that man. At the same time, that fucking man, who was indignant about the occurrence, stood furiously as he turned to face me. Hey, man. Are you out of your mind? He growled at me, his eyes shifting to that of a wolf. Hey, comparing whose wolf is stronger? I've never lost yet. Demos. Here's POV. 3 days later. 6 in the morning and the cold breeze touched my fair skin. Beta Leo and I went to the library downtown where thousands of books could be read freely. Ever since the fight, I've been avoiding Severus every day, and when I see him, I pretend I don't see him. Of course, he has been ignoring me too. We entered the massive room and I felt dizzy at the number of books that were organized neatly around the library. How can I find a book with magic in this kind of library? I thought as I walked in the middle of the massive bookshelves. I looked at every book and I saw some of them didn't have titles or labels. Sigh. Maybe one of these books provides what I need. I added and immediately took one of them. However, the content of the book was all about how to use black magic and not how to unbound a mate. However, another time was wasted. It is not surprising that the unilateral release of mate bond is unreasonable, and the older generation saw this as a betrayal of the moon goddess. Arg. I slammed my voice as I slapped my forehead with my palm. Don't worry. Maybe there's more on the other site. We can find it next time. Beta Leo tapped my back as he spoke. Hope it is so. I lowered my voice and hoped that he was right. I stood and took all my things and he followed me out. We went to the training ground. I went to the dressing room to change clothes. I put my bag on the bench to prepare my clothes to wear. When I opened it, I saw my phone had a lot of messages. Let's talk, Hirre. Give me a chance, Hirre. I love you. It's true. I felt annoyed when Alejandro's messages appeared on my home screen. When on earth will Alejandro stop making those shitty pleads? He is getting on my nerves right now. Harsha spoke within me as she felt my anger trying to invade my day. Sigh. I muttered as I ignored his message. Suddenly, other messages popped out. I knitted my eyebrows as I saw a group of girls messaging me. Do you know anything about the medical checkup today? You are with Prince every day. Do you know the purpose of the medical checkup? They also included a list of medical checkups in the text message, and a conspicuous blood test at the bottom of the form caught my attention. This is. Harsha also sensed the oddity. It's to detect black magic. I replied. A while later, I immediately arrived at the meeting place. We were on the training ground waiting for the medical examination. Everyone were discussing with each other about the test that would happen later. Miss Hirre, please follow me. A security guard of the training ground approached and spoke to me. Why do I need a separate test? I had no idea why he suddenly called me, but since I didn't feel any ill intent, and I was a bit curious as well, I decided to follow behind him. We headed to a certain room. Please come in. He assisted me toward that certain room, but I was a little bit surprised when I saw Severus, who was there inside, standing beside the huge medical equipment. This machine makes me more sure that this is the machine to detect black magic. As I entered, the guard locked the door. I stood there in the middle of the room as I felt a little bit nervous. Furthermore, the cold expression of Severus made the atmosphere more tense and heavy. I kept my silence and stared back at him, trying my best to act calm and serious. But he just looked at me coldly, with suspicion in his eyes. Is he accusing me for using black magic? That's why I'm here in this secret room? I thought angrily as I rolled my eyes. Just because I quarreled with him? He is going to use his status as a prince to threaten me? Sit down. His cold voice suddenly rung out, interrupting me from my deep thought. I obeyed what he asked me to do as I sat at the couch nearby. Without speaking any more word, he immediately grabbed my right arm and took blood from my veins using a syringe. Ouch! I wanted to clench my hand to resist myself from pain, but Severus glared at me and exclaimed, "Don't move or else, things will get worse." His cold voice made me feel helpless. I felt like tearing up as I thought about my current situation. Why was this guy acting this coldly now? It was as if he didn't know me in the first place, as he was treating me like a stranger. No, I even felt like he was treating me like a criminal, the person who really used black magic. Arg. After a moment, he was done collecting my blood. I growled in pain as he pulled out syringe off of me. And accompanied by this was pain. My tears then started falling. It wasn't because of pain, but because of the way how Severus treated me. I just couldn't resist. I clenched my teeth again as I growled at him, "You're doubting me?" But Severus didn't speak a single word as he completely ignored me and walked toward the machine to transfer my blood. He looked at my blood flowing toward the machine. I let my tears flow and I waited for the result of this stupidity. I'm just verifying my suspicions. Look at this. Severus face me and he displayed the result of the blood test. I was shocked as I saw lots of data comes out the screen. What is that? I asked, wondering as I kept on analyzing the data, even it was hard to understand. Severus sat on the chair and he explained it to me, everything in the screen. Can't understand it? He asked me with a mocking tone. I really couldn't understand it and didn't know how to answer. He suddenly interrupted me. This data showed that your blood has black magic. He replied seriously. What? How? How is this possible? Here's POV. What? This is not true. I don't even used black magic ever since. I retorted, defending myself from him. My wolf was also angry as she heard that we're accusing for something that prohibited. The data and this machine did not tell a lie, here. Severus coldly spoke and his eyes were kept on staring at me. I felt I'm going in trouble cause of that. I knew even I put much effort defending myself, this machine tell accuracy than my words for Severus. Then I said helplessly and I sobbed in his front. I'm the only one who can help you, he said seriously. What do you mean? He believed in me, didn't he? That's why he said he would help me find the truth. Be my mate, as soon as possible. He responded, which made me to knit my eyebrows toward his words. What? Are you threatening me to sleep with you in exchange of hiding the result? Are you this desperate? I slammed my voice and ran quickly toward the door. I did not want to hear his words anymore. Is this how he humiliated me when he said he would help me? He still treats me like a whore. Wait. Severus immediately followed me and grabbed my body from behind as I reached the door. I could not move cause his arms crossed in my body. Calm down, he added, and I felt his warm breath in my earlobe. Let me go, I shouted, but he just tightened his arms and he suddenly spoke again. This is the only way to undo the spell someone has put on you. I halted my movement as I felt frightened toward his words. I faced him and listened to him. My breath was gasping, but I needed to calm myself to understand what he wanted to say. We need to cast the black magic that Alejandro put into you, he added, which made me to feel shock. Alejandro? He did a spell? I asked. Yes. And it caused a false bond between you, he responded, and it caused me a sudden disturbance. False? My mate bond with Alejandro was a fake? How is this possible? Harsha clearly confirmed all this. Harsha, what is going on? I called out loudly to my wolf, this can never be. How could I accept such a fact? All the love I had with Alejandro for the past 3 years was from this false magic? Wouldn't my 3 years have been meaningless, being played like a fool? Here, I don't know who's setting us up. But what he said is true. He is our real mate. Harsha answered me as if she couldn't believe this either, stammering. But I wanted to continue to ask Severus to confirm that the first time I saw Alejandro, I couldn't help falling in love with him. Was it also because of this damn magic? Is it possible that Alejandro doesn't know about it either? Then Alejandro's mate. Could it be? However, instead of talking back, Severus stared at me and slowly touched my cheek. What are you doing? I asked innocently as he kept on moving closer to me. But he kept his eyes at me and I felt he was my real mate. Cause Harsha felt something different from his wolf. Never mind that, you can also feel that we are the mate. Severus muttered and he suddenly pulled me closer to him. I could not move as he started kissing me, his tongue trying to sip mine. His fingers were also moving toward my back and he pulled the zipper down. Let me help you, okay? I'm here to help you undo this damn spell," he said as he reached into my shirt and gently stroked me. He moaned as he doing it so. I closed my eyes and I felt his wolf. And I was really seduced by his movement. His body heat burned my heart. He was good on what he doing at me. However, when I let his wolf meet my Harsha, I suddenly felt their aggressiveness and his wolf wanted to give me a mark. Here, his wolf is so big, he's trying to mark us. I stretched my arms and pushed him away. "No," I shouted out, "Severus POV. When Hirre pushed me, I felt her incomparable strength. And I could not deny that her action hurt me. But the things that hurt me the most was the thought that Hirre was still doubting toward me even I did this test to help her. "Why? Do you still love him?" I asked. She raised her head and stared at me slowly. I saw in her eyes the uncertainties that she still have in her mind. And no. Not even a little. She replied quickly. I knew in her voice, she have something that she wanted to say. "So let me mark you," I said directly, but she just shook her head. "Not now," she briefly responded, which made me to wonder why. "I don't want to have mate for now and I don't want to have a commitment to other," she added. "But you are my mate," I uttered, hoping that she would accept my mark. "But the truth about black magic isn't clear yet, is it?" Her eyes were still full of distrust. Sure enough, she didn't believe that bastard Alejandro would do such a thing. She'd rather believe the man who betrayed her. "Mark her now," Demos shouted in my head. My wolf and I lost our minds at the same time, and I stepped forward to hold her arms, shouting uncontrollably. "You still believe him? You believe that bastard?" I can't imagine why she keeps running away from my proximity. She doesn't want me. She couldn't answer me at all. "Be my Luna and we can go find the truth together, okay?" I couldn't control my desire to be possessive. No alpha could accept another man in their mate's mind. I had to establish our relationship as soon as possible. "Pardon. But if I accept your mark and become your Luna, I will lost my freedom to everything around me. Please understand it. Just give me a little more time," she answered. "Here you go again. What time do you want? I've proven to you. I'm the one who is entitled to have you mate." I haven't rested for days for this answer, but all I got was her rejection, which I don't understand. But there's no proof of all this yet, is there? Maybe. Sure enough. She's still defending that bastard at all. Maybe what? Maybe you're still planning to get together with that bastard. I finally lost control. "Ah, that hurts. You let me go," she cried out softly in pain, and only then did I notice how hard my hands were gripping her. But I couldn't let her go. I had a feeling that if I let her go this time, I would lose her forever. "There's no way I'm letting you go, you're mine." With that, I pinned her to the wall and kissed her. My tongue attacked her mouth, our teeth met, and she kept struggling as I kept attacking. "You're mine. Mine." I held her lips and kept murmuring, as if she belonged to me as long as that was the case. Hissed defenselessly, she bit my tongue before I had to let her go. She quickly ran to the door. But the door had long been locked, and she definitely couldn't get out. Open the door. I could see that she was very angry, but this time I wasn't going to let her have her way. "Forget about it, today you must belong to me," I said as I moved closer to her. All the self-control and gentlemanly manners that I was once proud of were gone. I was now a wolf. Phew. She suddenly crouched down and passed under me and walked over to the apparatus, and I suddenly realized what she was going to do. Damn it. Don't come any closer. Or I'll die right here. She picked up the pointer on the table and aimed it at her artery. Damn it. Who taught her biology? She actually gave up her life to resist me. Alejandro POV. Arg. This time, I felt a different pain inside me. I felt my heart breaking into pieces. I could not imagine the pain that now invading my entire body. What happening on us? My wolf cow growled as he felt pain too. I don't know. Am my body getting weak? I exclaimed. My hands were shaking and my knees getting weaker. Harsha. Harsha have a new wolf. Gao growled as he felt our mate have another. How can we get her back? There's so many people inside Severus' pack. I can't talk to her. I asked, worrying while I grabbed my chest cause of this disturbing pain. What will we do? I felt my connection between Harsha getting weaker. Gao growled and I felt his pain, same as what I felt right now. I was worried, but I needed to bear this pain till I meet again my mate. Here's POV. What did you say? My uncle's shocked voice came over the phone, and his reaction was within my preconceptions. The first thing I did after Severus told me to leave was to call and tell my uncle about that thing. Maybe they can help me, or confirm my opinion. Uncle. As I spoke, there was a thing that still bothered me. Is that true? How dare that damned motherfucker Alejandro put black magic on you? My uncle growled as he got mad about my news. I haven't told him that Severus is going to force mark me yet. Calm down, uncle, I said as I thought about the past I had together with Alejandro. How can I calm down if you are in this situation? He angrily spoke and I thought my eardrum would tear apart caused of his loud voice. Don't worry, Prince Severus will protect you. I'll handle Alejandro, he added. I didn't dare tell him about my conflict with Severus or that I hadn't gone back to his house today. But that doesn't matter now. Uncle. I don't think he did it, even though we're separated now, but I'm pretty sure about my feeling toward him as I saw him first. I loved him the most and give everything to make him happy. And I give up myself to become his Luna in the future. I explained, and I really felt something painful as I recalled my memories with Alejandro. These can't be fake, right? So what do you mean? My uncle asked, lowering his voice as he calmed down. Uncle, believe me. My gut tells me that he didn't do it. I will talk to him, I said with certainty. Good. You are an opinionated girl. I will help you investigate. You must be careful yourself. My uncle suggested before he hung up the phone. I know, Grandpa's bodyguards are protecting me, aren't they? I was cheerful that my family trusted me so much. As Uncle Lucio cut our line, I lay in my bed thinking about the things I said to my uncle recently. I could not help myself but think about Alejandro. Harsha. Do you think our feelings toward Alejandro are real? I asked my wolf because she has a strong sense than me in terms of a mate. Like you here, I feel the same way. I feel from his wolf and I really felt he is our mate. And I definitely feel pain as he betrayed us. But for me, it is not a matter if he is our real mate or not, it is just a feeling, right? I need to talk to him seriously about us, I suggested as I heard Harsha's point. I took my phone to the table beside my bed and I dialed the number of Alejandro. My heart beat so fast because I needed to meet the man who hurt my feeling. And I did not expect that he would answer me quickly. "Alejandro, can we meet up tomorrow?" I spoke coldly, hiding my feelings toward him. "Here. Thanks, goddess, you call me at last. Yes. I want to meet you." I heard Alejandro's voice and I felt the joy from the tone of his voice as I called him. But there's something in his voice that felt different than before. "This is not the right time to be joyful. See you tomorrow in the Human Cafe. I will text you the address. Bye." I hung up the phone without even listening to his reply. I hoped that he would come to meet me. I held my phone tightly as thought about him. I hope this has nothing to do with him. In the next day. It was 7 in the afternoon when I went to the Human coffee shop. As I entered, I saw Alejandro sitting on the last row of the coffee table. He wearing a black polo shirt and black jeans. He was still handsome, but I needed to ignore what I saw from him. Harsha, I just see him and remember those days when I was in love with him, and I really can't accept that it was all fake. I tried to get soothing from my wolf. Apparently, she's like me, but she can run away and I can't. I quickly went closer to him to talk. His perfume invaded his location of him. He stood and guided me to sit on the chair. He was still gentlemanly until now, but I did not care. "Here, thank you for this night. I'm really excited to meet you again," he said as he gave me his sweet smile. I remained silent as I sat in his front. "Here. I miss you. Please come back to me. I'm really sorry for what I did. Sorry for hurting you," he added. "I'm not here to talk that thing." I took a deep breath as I ignored him. However, he suddenly kneeled in my front and showed me his gold ring. You. His sudden proposal of marriage was something I didn't expect. "I want to be with you here, so please take this." I felt shocked by what he did. Fortunately, we were on the very corner of the cafe so no one could see us. "Alejandro. Stop that. I'm here to clear something, not to waste our time on this." Even though I was shocked at what he doing, I needed to stick to what I needed to do. Yes, I dreamed before that this time would come. The day that he would kneel in my front and wish for my hands. But everything I dreamt of before was gone after he betrayed me. I saw sadness in his eyes as he hid again the ring. I could not look at him directly, but I needed to be brave even in the pain. My heart swallowed me into the department of sadness. He held my hand and I felt his cold palm as he sat again. He stared at me directly and I ignored my feeling to keep my goal direct. "We're all adults now, let's be decisive. Tell us about you." And that woman. I have to admit that this incident hurt me tremendously, and talking about it now is simply hurting myself again. She. I don't know why. She attracted me since then. Maybe she drugged me, I swear, I really. Alejandro explained, but I'm not satisfied with that. I needed to know everything so things would become clear between us. "Do you feel the same way how you love me toward Claire?" I said directly. Alejandro swallowed his saliva before he replied. "It's hard to believe, but," he answered, but he could not speak continuously. "But what?" I asked again, staring into his eyes. "But every time I was Claire, I felt something different. Yes, I did not mean to hurt you, but the way she treated me made me feel better," he added. "Alejandro, do you think why?" I asked him again, leaving a question mark on his thought. He shook his head and tilted down. TCH. Alejandro, what if Claire was your real mate? The words are on my lips but I can't say them. In fact, I already know the truth, don't I? Alejandro suddenly raised his head as he heard me. His eyes were filled with a question mark but I needed to stay still. I wanted to tell him about black magic but I'm afraid that he is also the victim. I needed to have more detail before telling this. Here. You can say anything you want to me, huh? Alejandro touched my hand as he pronounced my name, but before he totally held my hand, we heard a loud sound coming toward us. Get your fucking hands off. Here's POV. Get your fucking hands off. I turned around as I heard someone growl in anger. As widened my eyes as I saw Severus approaching our location. His eyes were furiously glaring at us. You're forcing your life so you can meet with him? He questioned me with red eyes. Fortunately, we were in the human cafe or I guarantee he would have turned into a wolf and ripped Alejandro apart. Alejandro was also enraged. I stood quickly to balance the atmosphere between Alejandro and Severus. But Severus pulled me away without anything to say. Severus. Leave me alone. I muttered so no one would hear us. But Severus was still walking out. He grabbed my arms and I felt his strength. I could not deny that he was really strong so I could move from his grip. Severus, slow down. Listen to me. I want to say something for Alejandro but Severus clenched me with his hand. Here. Wait. Severus walked faster out of the cafe and I saw Alejandro following us. Severus POV. I brought her to the dark forest. I was a little disappointed with her as I saw her with Alejandro. I did not know how she lied to me to hide their secret date. Severus. Please let me go. Why did you suddenly become this Hirre growled as she kept on trying to move away from me. You're the one who made me this way. She was the one who kept rejecting me and kept touching other men. How could this not make me angry? I was trying to come and apologize to her, hoping she would move back into my house. But instead, I saw her with this jerk. What are you talking about? I didn't expect her to suddenly yell at me, her face filled with anger. Just a moment ago, she was all smiles at that bastard. At the thought of that, I completely lost my mind. I should be the one asking you. Why you cheated on me? I growled back. Hirre looked at me directly and replied. It's not cheating, Severus. Then what is that? I asked her furiously, searching for the term that might fit what she had done. I just wanted to work things out. She replied, defending herself. I shook my head as I heard her explanation. Only you and him, without me? I really can't accept her being alone with that jerk. The mate bond between them hasn't been dissolved yet, God knows what will happen. She wanted to say something. Stop shouting with Hirre. Alejandro suddenly shouted as he went closer to us. How dare you to follow us? You bastard. I asked. I followed you? You know what, Hirre and I are the mate. You're the one who shouldn't be here. He answered me and it hit my pride. Really? Are you joking? Did you know who I am? I asked him because I wanted to show him that he hit the wrong stone. I know you're the prince. But so what? It is not a matter to make this kind of fuss with my mate. He angrily replied as he added, he stepped closer to Hirre and shouted, remember that I was also the participant for the next Alpha King. So don't use your position for now to take my mate. Please stop this. Severus here went between Alejandro and me. She was worried about the things happening around her. How can she defend this bastard? Kill him. Demos was constantly ranting. Here, why are you still defending that bastard? I asked furiously. Stop this. Here briefly responded. I was in in-depth pain as I thought that Here was still keeping her mate relationship with Alejandro. How could I possibly endure such humiliation? I am her mate, I shouted, which made Alejandro knit his eyebrows. Can you please stop making that nonsense? Our wolves claimed each other long ago. Alejandro furiously yelled too. Severus. Alejandro. Stop this. Here almost cried out as she forced us to stop. But I needed to tell Alejandro that the woman he wasted was a human I treasure because she was my mate. You're the fake. I'm the real one. As I added, I held Here's hand and yelled again. Wake up bro. She's mine. I'm her real mate.